You are practicing English every day, and that's exactly why you are not improving. Sounds strange, right? But what if I told you the way you practice is the real reason you still can't speak confidently? You don't have a learning problem. You have a practice problem. And until you fix this, your fluency will stay stuck. You watch English videos, you read sentences, and you repeat phrases again and again. It feels like practice, it feels like progress, and it feels productive. But when it is time to speak in a real conversation, your mind slows down and your words do not come out naturally. That is where the real problem begins. The comfortable practice trap. Most people practice English in a way that feels easy and safe. They read slowly, repeat sentences perfectly, and try to understand every word before moving forward. This creates a sense of progress because everything feels clear and controlled. There is no pressure, no urgency, and no real challenge. But this comfort is exactly where the problem begins. Real conversations are not slow or predictable. People speak quickly, ideas change suddenly, and you are expected to respond in the moment. There is no time to pause and build the perfect sentence. There is no chance to go back and correct yourself before speaking. Because your practice is slow and controlled, your brain adapts to that environment. It learns to take its time, to think deeply, and to avoid mistakes. But when you enter a real conversation, that same habit becomes a weakness. Your brain continues to slow down, even when the situation demands speed. This is why you may feel confident while practicing alone but uncomfortable when speaking with others. In practice, you are in control. In conversation, you are not. And since your brain has not been trained for that kind of pressure, it struggles to respond naturally. Another hidden issue is perfection. When you practice in a safe environment, you focus on saying everything correctly. You repeat sentences until they sound perfect, and you avoid moving forward until you feel satisfied. This builds accuracy, but it does not build fluency. Fluency requires movement, not perfection. Over time, this creates a dangerous habit. You start believing that speaking correctly is more important than speaking freely. So even in real conversations, you try to apply the same approach. You slow down, you think more, and you hesitate. And once again, your flow breaks. The truth is simple. If your practice feels comfortable all the time, it is not preparing you for real communication. Real improvement begins when your practice feels slightly challenging, slightly fast, and slightly uncomfortable. That is when your brain starts learning how to respond, not just how to understand. The passive practice problem that blocks your speaking. The real issue is not that you are not practicing. The issue is that your practice is passive, not active. You watch videos, you read sentences, and you listen carefully. This helps you understand English better, but it does not train your brain to respond when it actually matters. When you only consume English, your brain becomes good at recognizing patterns, but not at creating them. You start understanding everything easily, but when it is time to speak, your mind slows down. That is because recognition and production are two completely different skills, and you are only training one of them. Another problem is that passive practice does not create urgency. You can pause, rewind, and take your time. There is no pressure to respond instantly. But real conversations do not give you that comfort. They require quick thinking and immediate responses, and your brain is not used to that speed. Because of this, you develop a false sense of progress. You feel like you are improving because you understand more than before. But when you try to speak, you realize that nothing comes out smoothly. This gap between understanding and speaking is where most learners get stuck. Active practice is completely different. It forces you to respond, to think quickly, and to express your ideas without waiting. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is what actually builds fluency. That is how you train your brain to move from knowing English to using English. The truth about practice that most people ignore. Here is the truth most people never realize. Practice does not automatically improve your speaking. Only the right kind of practice does. You can spend hours every day with English and still see no real improvement in your fluency. The reason is simple. Not all practice trains your brain to speak. Some practice only improves your understanding, while fluency requires you to express your thoughts quickly and clearly. If your practice does not include that, your speaking will always feel slow and controlled. You need to understand one important shift. Fluency is built through pressure, not comfort. When your brain is forced to respond without preparation, it starts forming sentences faster. It stops overthinking and starts reacting. That is exactly how real conversations work. Think about it this way. If you always give yourself time to think, your brain will always depend on that time. But if you remove that option, your brain has no choice but to adapt. It begins to find faster ways to express ideas, even with simple words. Another important truth is this. Mistakes are not the problem. Waiting to avoid mistakes is the problem. The more you delay your response to make it correct, the more you damage your flow. But when you allow yourself to speak freely, even with small errors, your confidence and speed start improving together. Fluent speakers are not the ones who practice the most. They are the ones who practice in a way that matches real communication. They train their brain to respond, not to prepare. And that is the difference that changes everything. How to practice the right way and start seeing results. Now that you understand the real problem, let's fix it in a simple and practical way. You do not need to spend more time learning English. You need to change how you practice. The goal is not to feel comfortable. The goal is to train your brain to respond quickly and naturally. Start with one powerful method called no-pause practice. Pick any simple topic and start speaking immediately. Do not prepare. Do not think ahead. And do not stop in between. Keep speaking for 30 seconds without breaking your flow. Your sentences may not be perfect, but that is exactly how you build real fluency. Another method is time pressure speaking. Ask yourself a question and give yourself only 2 seconds to respond. This forces your brain to react instead of analyze. At first, your answers may be short and basic, but with time, your speed and clarity will improve naturally. You should also start simplifying your language. Do not try to use complex words or long sentences. Focus on clear and simple expressions. When your sentences become easier, your speed increases, and your confidence grows at the same time. One more important habit is daily speaking without support. Do not depend on scripts, translations, or memorized lines. Speak using your own thoughts, even if they are simple. This builds independence and helps your brain connect ideas directly in English. Now here is what most people miss. Consistency matters more than intensity. You do not need long practice sessions. Even 10 to 15 minutes of focused speaking every day is enough if you do it correctly. What matters is that you challenge your brain daily and keep pushing it slightly beyond its comfort zone. Also, track your progress in a simple way. Record yourself speaking for a few seconds each day. After a week, listen again and notice the difference in your speed and confidence. This will not only show improvement but also motivate you to stay consistent. If you follow this approach regularly, you will notice a clear shift. Your pauses will reduce, your responses will become quicker, and your speech will feel more natural. Not because you learned more, but because you finally trained your brain the right way. So, stop confusing practice with progress. Just because you are spending time with English does not mean you are improving your speaking. The real change begins when your practice matches real conversation. When you stop staying comfortable and start challenging your brain to respond. Fluency is not built by repeating perfect sentences. It is built by expressing imperfect thoughts again and again until they become natural. The moment you shift from understanding to responding, everything starts to change. So, the next time you practice, do not slow down. Do not wait to be perfect. Speak, even if it is simple, even if it is not fully correct. Because that is how real fluency is created. If this made you realize your mistake, type "practice" in the comments right now. Hit like if you want more videos that actually improve your speaking. Share this with someone who is practicing daily but still not improving. Comment your biggest struggle in speaking. I read every comment and reply. Subscribe for daily videos that make your English faster and more natural. And press the bell icon so you never miss the next video as we upload. Thank you for watching.